Today, Trump made an announcement that caused equities like NASDAQ, US 30, and SP 500 all to drop. And in today's market recap, I'm going to break down what Trump said and why it's important for you if you like to trade any of the top three, which would be NASDAQ, my personal favorite, US 30, and SP 500. And this entire breakdown means nothing if I'm just sitting here showing you a market replay on TradingView of things that happened after the fact. But I trade live every day with the Traders Inside Day Trading University, and it's all recorded. So throughout this video, anything I break down, if we can clip in recordings from the live trading call, I'll make sure we put them in here. And I'll start by showing you some of the trades from the traders who are live with me today. So let's take a step into Day Trading University's win section. The first thing that I'll point out is you can see the date, August 15th, 2025. This was the morning of our trading session. So anything below this is obviously the post. We can see Wally, $300 in profit. Thanks, Josh. You're welcome, Wally. I hope you're seeing this. DJZ closed on NAS. There's another NAS trade right here. Then we have Jacob, US 30. You know, I think it's really important to note that even though I'm talking about NASDAQ because I like trading NASDAQ, you can do the same stuff with US 30 or SP 500. I just like price action on NASDAQ better. So there we have Jacob with US 30 at the stock exchange open with some of the trades. Dylan right here. This is NASDAQ again. I'm gonna break this trade down in the middle and then we'll zoom in, the sells here, and then also the buys too. And here's his stats on a funded challenge right now, $2,000 in profit. I love seeing this. Like, nothing makes me happier than celebrating the wins for everybody inside. I actually said it right here. You guys are overwhelming with all the wins. I fucking love it. And we have Keegan with NAS sells again, $1,400 in profit. NAS sells today. Thanks, Josh Pavao. The little crystal ball is an inside joke we have at Day Trading University because we're surprisingly accurate almost every single day with what the markets do. So you guys will probably see the crystal ball every once in a while. I think I even said it here. The crystal ball is a nice touch. Before the markets open, I like starting the day by being prepared for any high impact news coming out, any scheduled speakers that are important, and especially I like to pay attention to Trump's schedule. I want to know what the president's doing because he moves the markets almost every time he talks. So I'll show you how I do that right here. We'll step back into Day Trading University's Discord, go into the analysis section, and I'm going to hit the economic calendar. So the first thing that we can see is that we have some data coming out. We have New York Fed manufacturing data, we have retail sales, and then we have University of Michigan sentiment data. All of these were coming out this morning. And for checking Trump's schedule, I like to use something called roll call. If we take a look here, you can see on Friday, 6 a.m. out of town, 6:45 a.m. he's leaving to Alaska. He's going to be taking a plane. You can see at 9:45 he'll be coming back. And in between that, he's going to be meeting with the president of Russia in Alaska. I'll usually even go a step further and I'll come over to the news feed in the live trading section and I'll scroll through my news feed to see if anything happened overnight while I was sleeping. So now that I have an idea of what to look for and what might be impacted today, I can actually get on the charts and start looking for some trades. Even though typically the data that we have coming out today on Friday, usually not that big of a deal, but New York Fed manufacturing data. Yesterday we just had a piece of data come out called Producer Price Index, and it came out way above expected. I did a full breakdown on that yesterday. So today I'm thinking there might actually be a chance that the markets pay attention to this data. But after 30 minutes of me explaining this analysis and why I think New York Fed manufacturing might be important, Trump decides 5 minutes before the data comes out to make an announcement. And I'm pretty sure we have the recording, so we'll put it here. We have Trump speaking right now too. Gold holding that support pretty nicely. But once again, like I said, be careful because we have that data coming up, which I'll cover again. I just want to see what he's saying. I'll be setting tariff. Okay, fuck, man. Look at NAS. The second Trump just said this, I'll be setting tariffs on steel chips next week. Now, steel and chips, this actually could make NAS drop. Fuck, right before the data too. This essentially made the data not even matter anymore. So let's break down the headline and what it means. So we'll head back over into Day Trading University's Discord. I'll go over to the news feed and we can see the headline right here. Trump on trade. I will be setting tariffs on steel chips next week. A tariff is basically just a fee that businesses have to pay in order to import goods from other countries. And just in case you didn't know this, NASDAQ, US 30, and SP 500 is specifically made up of publicly traded companies. That's what the numbers mean after it, right? US 30 is 30 companies, S&P 500, 500 companies, NAS 100 is 100 companies. So let's pretend that you've invested $10,000 into one of your friend's coffee shops, and all of their coffee beans come from Colombia. But you just found out that next week, the cost to import coffee beans from Colombia is going to increase in cost by 30%. And now this tax increase is going to eat into the profit margins of your friend's business, which is going to make it much more difficult to stay profitable. The companies listed in the stock market can be looked at in a very similar way. Now, maybe you'd keep that $10,000 in your friend's coffee shop because you're a good friend. But investors in the markets don't really look at public companies the same way. If they get even the tiniest hint that something negative is coming, it's very common common to see a sell-off. So this announcement from Trump is exactly what gave me my bias in order to look for a drop on NASDAQ today, even though long-term I'm still bullish, meaning long-term I'm still looking to take NASDAQ up. So let's take it to TradingView and I'll do a little market replay of the actual trade. Once again, if we go over to Day Trading University, you can see inside the Discord, the news feed, the headline came out at 8:25 in the morning. This candle right here is 8:15. So we'll go one more candle over, and it was this candle is when Trump made the announcement, right? I entered sells here. I ended up entering and closing before I closed with like $20 in profit. This actually could make NAS drop. Fuck, right before the data too. I'm gonna take a risky entry on this only because he mentioned, I might regret this, or maybe not, we'll see. But the reason I closed this trade was because he made the comment, I saw NAS react, I have all the reasons to look for NASDAQ to drop when he talks about increasing the tariffs, but the second comment right here, the rate is going to be lower at the beginning. So the first announcement, hey, I'm gonna increase prices for you, that's bad for NASDAQ. And then the second comment, he's like, but don't worry, the rates are gonna be lower in the beginning. He said this in the past, but the fact that he just said rates are going to be lower at the beginning, actually might be good for, it's hard to say what the markets are already expecting. I still like the idea of downside on NASDAQ, but how are the markets going to react now that he made this second comment? This is why trading news and headlines can actually be really difficult, but it is a blessing to have headlines like this and actually have access to something, because look what NASDAQ ended up doing. Instead of taking sells here or holding sells, number one, I knew what was going on in real time and I knew I didn't want to be in NAS right now. Watch what happened to NASDAQ. Choppy, nonsense, really shitty price action. I hope this didn't destroy you guys. Understanding what's happening in the markets is how we can stay away from nonsense like this. I know if you're just a technical only trader, you're looking at these massive drops, you're just like, oh my God, NAS is gonna drop because we're at all-time highs. And you have no idea that Trump is talking or that Trump is meeting with Putin in order to stop the war with Russia-Ukraine. All of this stuff is gonna have an impact on gold, on NASDAQ, on the markets in general. If it doesn't move the markets, sometimes it just consolidates the markets and you get shitty price action like this, which is exactly what we got. Now the actual entry that I took, I entered the trade and closed the trade all in the same candle. So when I hit the next button, you're just gonna see a candle drop, right? But my entry was here, and we'll play the recording too so you guys can see it. I entered here, I closed here. Microsoft, Nvidia, they're all melting right now. I'm gonna take partials there. All right, I'm gonna take it right here. I'm closing. Done. Scalpy scalp. That's it. I'm locking out. Very happy that I did. I couldn't be happier with this trade. Now, when I play this out a little more, it still dropped within, I was still in the live call with everybody. It still had a really nice drop. I would have had 2 to 3 times the amount of profit had I held this. But realistically, I don't know exactly where my stop loss was when I went break even. I don't know that I would have held through this candle anyways, because I'm still bullish on NASDAQ. So this little drop could have easily recovered the move. In my opinion, I'm still gonna be looking for buys on NAS. So I don't want to hold sells. For me, this is a short-term drop going against my overall bias. Honestly, this isn't the point of the video here, but if you take a trade, I think the easiest thing or the best thing that a trader can do is just accept the fact that number one, you're never going to get a perfect entry. Number two, you're never going to get a perfect close. Now, some of my entries might look perfect when I'm playing it out. Like I actually think this is a really good entry on NASDAQ, but I closed way too early. We're not psychics. All we can do is pay attention to the right things that increase the probabilities that we win more trades and then use that to our benefit in order to profit from the markets. Since today is Friday, I hope you had a solid trading week. And tomorrow, part 2 of my How to Trade Gold course is gonna be launched. And if you're around for Sunday, we're gonna do a weekly prep video so that way you and I can be prepared for the markets next week. I'll see you guys there.